up there that are not in the distinct circuit. So the yellow circuit is hell. So let's go to something simple. Start in the upper left corner. You see that little red one? Do me a favor. Do me a favor.
I don't see the yellow one.
Okay, that's 24 volt hot, the red one. And no, keep doing what you're doing with the finger there. Now we're going to move to the right. Just follow the red one, not the blue one. Okay, we go to the fuse. The fuse is just there to protect the transformer, that black box at the beginning. Now keep going along, and then it goes down and it goes to the red one. Yep, so just the red one.
This one.
Yep. So then the circuit that we're going to deal with first will be coming out of the thermostat, the green, the one that's all the way on the right. That one, you go straight down, and you turn, go down, over, and it's right there. Then you see how it drops down, goes through the relay, green wire, it comes out the other side is blue. No, from the other side, yeah, blue. That is the relay coil. We're not talking about turning the fan on or any of that. We're just talking about turning on the relay coil. And you follow blue, and there's no switches. It just keep going, keep going. Goes all the way back to the transformer. That is the simplest circuit in this board. We go red to the fuse, to the thermostat, to the relay coil, and back to common. On this particular board, blue is a 24 volt common. That is the simplest circuit on the board. Now there's a whole series of switches. There's a long door on the right side that we can open up with all these switches in it. People have written on the piece of paper what each switch, some of the switches we found really don't do anything, but about 90% of them work. Somebody wrote some disparaging things about the certain sexuality of some of the switches that they didn't like. I said students label it. I should have been a little more specific on how you label something properly. Okay, the next circuit is a little bit more complicated. So let's start the red again. Way up in the corner. We're going to go through the fuse. We're going to go to red on the thermostat. Now we're going to come out white. White is for heat. So we follow white down. Okay, goes right there. And then comes out the other side of that relay to your left as white again. Okay? Now, I don't know why they chose white again, but they did. Really, that side is now connected to 24 volt common. And from there, we will go back to 24 volt common, but watch, we have to go through 3 switches. There's the first switch that says static pressure switch. So go up to that big wire switch and then come back. Right? Yep, and then right there. In the real world, what would happen is you'd have hoses hooked up. That's an air pressure switch. And it would not let the heater come on until there's air flow.
Is that the orange?
That's for the inducer?
There is no inducer. This is just for a main blower, and it's an electric heater. You see where the relay that's right under his hand? Don't move your hand. Right under the middle part of your hand, that big relay. Below that relay, you see that thing goes back and forth, that 8 line on there towards the bottom. That's a heater. That's a grid heater. It's a high voltage electric heater that's just like a toaster in an air duct. Okay, so now go to your left. Now we go through another switch. Up to there. What's that switch say? It probably says high limit thermostat.
Yeah, high limit thermostat.
That is a thermostat that would be in the air duct, so that if the air duct gets too hot, it's going to shut off the heater. Now, keep going. And we go through another switch, which is that big funny gray box you just ran into with a knob on it. It's called an ambient thermostat. And you're going to come out the other side of that as the blue. Actually, right here. So the blue right here. And you're going to go back to the blue up there and back. So for the heater to work, of course the transformer has to be good, and of course the fuse has to be good. The thermostat switch from red to white, that has to close. Then we have a static pressure switch. We have a high limit thermostat, and then we have that gray box that I just kind of glossed over with the knob on it, called an ambient thermostat. All those have to be in the right position. The ambient thermostat, personally, I don't really like on this board,
because it's there for a good reason in the real world. In the real world, they would use, nowadays they use computers, but what it was there for is you would put the probe outdoors, and then you'd set the ambient thermostat for heating, and then you'd change it for cooling. Basically, what you would do is you would set it up.
Is that like a CNC?
No, just a switch. What it does is, if it's too warm outside, they don't want you running the heater. So if it's too warm outside, the heater can't come on because it's wasting energy. Just open the window.
Yeah.
Same thing with the air conditioning. You set it for air conditioning, then it won't let the air conditioning come on if it's too cold outside, because again, you don't need to run an air conditioner when you can just open the window. So really the ambient thermostat, I kind of wish they had taken it out.
They can take it out.
We could still take it out, but there are some switch problems that go to it. Now, you saw how it had the white and the blue wires on top of it? That's for the heat. And see on the bottom of it, it's got two yellows coming out? That's actually a separate switch. That's for the air conditioning. So it's really two switches in the one box with one knob on it. So when we fire this thing up, you have to remember, oh wait a minute, the heat's not coming on. You know, look at the dial on the thermostat, on the regular thermostat, and then look at the dial on that one too. You might just have one of the thermostats in the wrong position and there's nothing wrong with the unit. The reason I'm bringing this up is this happens to everybody when they work on the thing. So, okay, now let me show you how
Where would that be located?
Honestly, I haven't worked on units this old. I don't know exactly where they would put it, but the probe would be outdoors, and then they would probably put the ambient thermostat, or no, not probably, they would definitely put the ambient thermostat in a place the technician could get to rather easily, like the main box, but the customer could not. You don't want the customer touching that.
Yeah.
Okay.
So,
first of all, can you
so
do me
would
a
this be like in the garage?
and make sure all these switches are
That should be in the garage?
Probably, if the furnace is in the garage.
Alright.
do my best Vanna White.
It was more like in the garage.
Anybody have a bee? I heard she makes $600,000 a year.
Who does?
Vanna White, just to go like this. Ding, ding, ding.
Yeah,
Turn
you
the
should be
letters.
cool, so you might probably make the same shit.
Maybe if I looked like her, I could make 600,000.
Probably.
Probably not. Okay, so you make sure all the switches are down, so there's no problems. So let's see, let's turn the fan to auto, system to off, and turn the power on. Only one thing came on. The crankcase heater. That's a heater that goes around the compressor to keep it warm. There's no control to it. There's no switch to it, so it's going to be on all the time. If I turn the fan on, hopefully this fan over here,
I'm just kind of trying to get in with this.
hopefully this fan will come on.
Yeah, no, it's basically
It did. Hey, you're messing up the man's video. Okay, now you start cussing over it. All right, good
Well,
job.
he gets to learn some shit. Yeah, we still
This is going to be like used as evidence in a
Hey,
deposition. isn't
Scott,
it?
don't you need the ammeter?
No, I'm just showing you how to operate. If I turn the fan on, you guys hear that big thunk though? That's this relay. Okay? Now, if I want to turn the heat on, of course I have to turn it to heat, turn the temperature way up. That didn't come on though. Well, probably got the ambient thermostat in the wrong position. There it goes. Okay? So now, okay?
So the fan and the heater goes on.
Fan and heater go on together. Okay, so now if I want to do air conditioning, turn it to off. I'm going to turn this all the way the other way so I know the air conditioning will work. So turn this to AC. Actually, I'll turn it to cool. Now as I turn the temperature down, there we go. Now we have the indoor fan on. The outdoor condenser fan is on. And last but not least, the compressor is on. Okay? Of course, if it's too cold outside, this happens.
Compressor comes on.
Compressor shut off.
That's because you did the ambient, right?
Yeah. The one stupid thing though is if you're going to shut the compressor off, why not shut the condenser fan off too? Because it's not doing any good. But that's just the way they wired it. So I don't think this is exactly how they would be in the real world. But this is a very, very good board, and it's honestly this thing's older than several of you in here. It was here when I took these classes. This thing's from the 80s.
Yeah?
Yeah, this board.
Wow.
It's,
Don't
and
look
we've
that
had to
old.
make very, very few repairs to it. It's really been reliable. Anyway, let me shut the power off. Oh, and one thing, just this is not what you do in the real world, but you have to do it on this board. In the real world, you come up and you shut the main power off. You could then pull some wires and ohm things out, right? And it would work. The problem is that we found with this board, if you simply shut the power off, the ohm meter, it messes with it. There's some trace voltage running around in here. If you're going to use an ohm meter, you have to unplug it.
Okay.
You have to turn the power off and unplug it, because our ohm meters just were going crazy.
You said that's not a real world,
In the
right?
real world, when the power's off, the power's
Once
off.
you turn off the power,
Yeah.
that's it, right?
So I don't know what they've got going on in the background, but it's doing something. So we have to unplug. Now, I don't expect or really want anybody to understand fully what I'm going to say or show you, but I just want to show you how complicated it is. Let's do red to yellow. Okay, this is the air. That's fine. This is the air conditioning circuit. So red to red, then yellow. Now watch what we have to go through to get from yellow back to common. Okay, first of all, yellow comes here and it splits. This dot is actually quite important. If you go down, you go through the condenser fan relay and back up and blah, 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 okay? That one's not so bad. But if we continue on, it comes over here. Now this is to the coil. The coil connections are actually physically up here, okay? So it goes to the coil. So the other side needs to go back to common, which is right here. Now, we could just hook a wire from here to common and it would work. But they wanted to go through all these safety switches and the ambient switch. So let's see what it does. First, it comes up through here and goes to the ambient switch and comes out here. Here's another, it doesn't have a dot on it, but here's another split. We could go two different ways. I'm not going to go the upper route, I'm going to go the lower route because it's just too complicated without drawing it on the board. I'm just trying to get straight back there. So then we come up through here. No, I'm sorry. We go up this one through the contact of this reset relay. Then we go through the low pressure switch. That way if it loses refrigerant, it doesn't run. Then it goes to the high pressure switch, which if it condenser's dirty or something, it doesn't run. Then it comes back to this again. And now it goes to this little yellow wire and this little blue wire, which is another safety switch, which is, you see this? This is a circuit breaker. But the circuit breaker, unlike the ones in your house, the ones in your house kill the high voltage, right? No, this circuit breaker just opens this tiny little switch. And this is the reset button for it. So then for the compressor. So then it comes out as this little blue, which comes up to this blue, which finally makes it back up to here.
It's a long way.
So just to get through this contactor coil, we have a fuse, a thermostat, then we have the coil itself, and then we have a reset, we have the ambient thermostat.
Does that end at the main power source?
It finally does end back there, yeah. It goes through the ambient thermostat, which can shut it off. It goes through a reset relay, which I don't even want to explain without doing it on the board. It's way too complicated. Then it's got a low pressure and a high pressure switch, and then it's got its own little circuit breaker switch back in here. So it's got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 switches of various types that control that contactor coil.
It's kind of interesting. So by the time that it hits the compressor, you already lost a lot of voltage in the system, right?
No,
No?
No, the wires are good wires. They're relatively short. You know, they're under 50 feet.
Okay.
The connections are all good. No.
Oh, so it didn't drop any?
No, you should, on this board, because, you know, there's some weird wires going inside and doing some things. Yeah, you'll maybe find like 1/10 of a voltage, 2/10 of a volt. That I don't know what's happening to it. But in the real world, no.
Scott, I have to do for thank you.
You're not taking your brother with you?
No, they don't make it over there.
Is it because he laughs at you in class? Why do you laugh at your brother in class?
Don't.
Yes, you do. You turned red today. You were laughing so hard. Why?
You crack a joke.
Yeah, but...
Also, your face is funny.
Yes,
Oh. Okay, let's go back to the easy stuff, and then I'll plug it back. Actually, can somebody plug it back in for me? All right, easy stuff. Okay, F2. D, E, F2. Okay. If what I did works out right, this fan shouldn't come on. So if I go fan on, it should come on, but I've got to, oh, there it did. See, switched. You can hear the relay. What's that tell you? Is the coil getting voltage? Well, you can't see it, but you can hear it. So is the relay coil getting voltage?
Yes.
Yes. But there's no power getting down to the light. So we got to figure out what's going on. So we need a meter.